Hi friends. So in today's video, we are going to discuss the five biggest reasons for Nadal's dominance, specifically in the French Open. Now, I'm not talking about clay in general because Nadal has been beaten on clay by Djokovic, by Wawrinka, by Federer, as well as a few other players. So, of course, he's dominant on clay, but he's not as dominant on clay as he is on the French Open, because that is where I think he has only lost two matches in like 15 or 16 years of his career so far, and I think that is where his dominance has been really great, and it's almost unthinkable how nobody has been able to beat Nadal over the years. Maybe sometimes he would be out of form, maybe sometimes he would be injured, or maybe there would be different players spanning the whole 15 years. But most of the players, I mean, there have been a lot of players, but most of them have come and gone, but Nadal has always stood there till the end. So in this video, we'll quickly discuss the five biggest reasons. Now, because I mean, the reason why I mentioned five biggest reasons is because it's not a specific reason for Nadal's dominance. So we cannot say that he has a great forehand, or it's always the top spin, or it is always the hot and humid conditions, the bounce. It's not like that. So it's a combination of things. For example, Karlovic has a great serve, has a huge serve, but even then, he has not been able to win a Grand Slam because one shot cannot win you a Grand Slam. You need to have a variety, you need to have a combination of different factors working in your favor for you to, be able to have multiple Grand Slam titles. And I think Nadal has all those factors, and we'll discuss five biggest factors for his success here. So let's start with the first factor, and that is the most dangerous and the most important one. It's Nadal's forehand. So Nadal's overall game is very good, as we all know. He has that angled serve that is very useful on clay. Then he also has the net game. He can play drop shots. He can also hit a good solid backhand and also a chip backhand that I have already discussed in my previous videos. But I think the most important shot for him is his forehand, because he can do a lot of damage from different positions of the court. He can hit an inside in forehand, inside out forehand. He can hit the banana shot. He can also hit a loopy forehand, a topspin forehand to bring the opponent out of the court, because of the huge angles that he's able to create. So I think a lot of reasons are there for his forehand to be the most important shot. And because in the French Open, that we'll discuss, because of the conditions and every other factor, his forehand becomes that much more important for him, specifically on this surface, and also because of his racket and his strings and the way he plays, the amount of topspin that he imparts on that shot. I mean, it makes it really difficult for any other player to counter that bounce and that topspin, especially on the clay, because it's really difficult, and especially on the French Open because the court is big. So it's difficult for any other player to be aggressive against Nadal and make him run a lot, or pass a winner through him. It's almost impossible because of the length of the court, because the amount of court, the amount of area that is there behind the baseline for Nadal to be able to defend. I think it's huge at the Philippe Chatrier court, and I think it is the longest area possible there in the French Open, and that helps Nadal to actually defend. So his forehand is one of the most important shots for him, and I think on the clay, that's the reason number one. We can see some of the examples of his forehand, how deadly it can be from different positions. So we have got a few examples here. So this is one of the example where you can see he is in such a defensive position. He's almost near the lines person, and he's in the middle of the court. Now Djokovic's position is far better than Nadal. He's also in the middle of the court, but he's way closer to the baseline. But you can still see how what a shot Nadal hits from there. Now he's almost looks imbalanced and struggling to stay in the rally. But the shot that he hits, I have marked the trajectory of that shot. So it's an angled shot, a loopy shot, and it forces Djokovic to go outside the singles line, and definitely it helps Nadal to get back into position and be aggressive on the next ball. So that is one of the example of such depth and such variety that Nadal has, such spin Nadal has. Even from that position, he's able to still be in an aggressive position on the court. So let's look at another example. Now, this is an example where Nadal is going to hit an inside out shot even when he's not in position. So you can see he's in the air, he's falling backwards, but still he's able to generate such an angle. You can see here that even though Djokovic is on the same side of the court, but still he's not able to get to this ball. And Nadal hits a short angled forehand here, and it's a winner. Now, in this example, again, Djokovic has hit a good backhand, and then Nadal is in good position here. He is running, so he has run all over from the right side to the left side to hit this forehand. Now, if you see the match, you can maybe guess which side Nadal would go, but it would be a clean winner. So this is one another example. Now, this is a very rare example of Nadal. You can see he's almost out of the court, and this is his backhand side, of course. So he has, I mean, I have never seen a player running that much, to avoid the backhand and still be able to hit a aggressive and a winning forehand. So you can see here Nadal hits a winner from this position. It's almost unthinkable the angle he can generate, and even when running backwards, falling backwards. I mean, this is as much imbalanced a player can get on the court, but still he's able to generate that much accuracy on his forehand. It's almost unbelievable. Now, this is another forehand. So here, I mean, I was going through the different clips and I was trying to get some good forehands from Nadal. Now, here I can see a common mistake that the players make against Nadal. You can see Hachanov is quite inside the court here. He's in a very good position, but then he hits the backhand straight into the slot for Nadal. Nadal is standing there, even though he's recovering from his previous shot, but he's still in right position, and he knows that Hachanov is out of position, and he'll definitely use his forehand down the line to win the point. Whereas Hachanov, because he's in such an aggressive position, he might have gone to the down the line shot that would have helped him to win the point. Now, talking about Nadal's defense, this forehand is also a very popular one. We have seen this a lot against Schwartzman. So you can see a little bit of mistake made by Schwartzman here, because after hitting the shot, he stays right there. He's not moving inside the court. He's not moving to the net to cover, because he knows he has hit a good shot. So he should ideally be moving forward closer to the net. I'm not sure whether it would make any difference, because Nadal's shot is absolutely unbelievable. So even if Schwartzman got there, the green circle that I have marked, still he would not be able to close the volley on this one, because it's almost a perfect shot from Nadal, and this again shows his ability on the forehand, even on the defense. From this position as well, Nadal is able to somehow hit a winner. All right. So the next reason for Nadal's dominance is the conditions. So because the conditions on clay are different, it has a lot of bounce, uneven bounce. The topspin comes into play. But specifically when I talk about conditions, I mean the conditions in the French Open, because that time of the year in Paris, it's a lot of humidity. It's hot and humid. The ball bounces high. It's also a little bit quick, the court, so it's not that easy to get into position. So Nadal's all the abilities come into play in that context, as well as the length of the court that I already talked about. You can see in the picture. I mean, there is so much space behind the baseline for Nadal to be able to get to the balls that he would not be able to do, on the hard courts and even on the grass, because of the lack of space. But here Nadal gets all the space, and because of his topspin and because of his forehand, he always pushes the opponent's back behind the baseline, so that he gets more time to recover from his shot. So even if an opponent is playing really well and he's playing very aggressive, Nadal still has that extra space to get behind the baseline and return the ball. And also, while I'm talking about returning, it also helps Nadal on the serve, on the return of serve, because however big the server is, Nadal can stand like 10 feet behind the baseline to return the ball, and that, because of his spin and top spin, he doesn't face any issues while returning it from that back a distance. He's able to impart a lot of top spin. So even though he's 10 feet behind the baseline, when he returns the ball, it's high and loopy, and the other player gets the ball right around the baseline, so he cannot attack. So the only option that the other player has in that case is to maybe serve and volley. But because Nadal has such a good passing shot, if he knows that you are coming to the net, he can always hit a good passing shot, or maybe use a two combination shot where he can just hit the first shot on your shoelaces and then he can run forward and finish the point on the second shot. So the conditions definitely play a part, because hot and humid conditions help Nadal in his forehand, as well as the space area helps him around the court to move well and to cover most of the shots as well as the serve. The reason number three is the fitness, of course. So we have seen over the years, I mean, it has been like 15 to 16 years. Nadal has been playing really well in the French Open. Every year he comes up with his good game. Even when he is not playing well, his fitness is always there. Now, the only two times that he has lost, one time was against Soderling, and I think he was not fit in that match, and that was the main reason he lost in that match. Even though Soderling played one of his best matches, but still, who knows, if Nadal would have been fit, maybe he would have tried more, and the match would have been closer. And then secondly, he lost against Djokovic, where he was not playing well, and Djokovic was in top form. So the reason number three, fitness, here is because the format in the French Open is a five-set format. So you have to play for like 4 to 5 hours at your best ability against Nadal to beat him. Because even though when he's tired, he goes away for like a few games. So you can win a few games against Nadal in the French Open if he's tired. But then again, he comes back, he never gives up. And because of his fitness, he can play for hours and hours on this court, and he can also play each day. So the issues that we see with some of the other players, where they complain that because of the last match they were not able to play that well because of the tiredness, because of the fatigue, they were not able to play. We don't see any such excuses with Nadal. He's one of the fittest athletes on court, and he never complains that the last match was like very lengthy and that had the impact on this match. He is always ready. He has shown a lot of examples. The most important one is the Australian Open 2009, wherein he played that epic match against Verdasco in the semi-finals, and in the next day he had to play against Federer in the Australian Open final. Both the matches were five setters. Both the match went around 5 hours, and I think even then Nadal was able to win the match. Although it did have an impact on Nadal's fitness overall, because he was not able to retain the French Open as well as Wimbledon that year because of the fitness issues. But I think that just shows that when he's on the court, when he's fit, I mean, it's really hard to beat him. Now, reason number four is one of the most important reasons for Nadal, not only on the French Open but overall in his career, because he has won a lot of Grand Slams where I think there were better performances from other players than him, but even then, Nadal was able to beat them through his mental strength, because he's always ready to win the match. The only thing that matters for him is to somehow get the victory. And he has said that in his interviews as well, that if his shots are not working, if his game is not working, but even if one shot is working in his game, he'll try to play that one shot for the whole 4 or 5 hours to somehow get the victory. That is what the mindset he has, that of a champion, that somehow he needs to get the victory, and he can try a lot of things. So he has a very good sense of anticipation, as well as a very good tennis brain, if we might call it, because when he plays a match, and let's say a lot of times he loses the first set, he is not able to understand the strategy of the other player. Maybe the other player is serving big, or he is hitting a lot of huge forehands, backhands, whatever it is. Nadal, when he sits down at the end of the first set, even though he has lost the set 6 love or 6-1 or 6-2, he immediately makes changes to his game, and that is evident from the start of the second set. And once he understands that, okay, this play is working, he then just sticks to that play until and unless it stops working. And that is how he has been able to turn around a lot of matches where he lost the first set, but then he came back and won the next three sets with a lot of ease, because of this ability of him to read what's going on the court and make changes immediately, and also keep trying different things just to understand how the other player is reacting to that situation. So that is, I think, a very very good quality that Nadal has, and that is also related to the mental strength. as well as the important points. Nadal plays almost perfect on all the important points in all the important matches. So you can never say with Nadal that Nadal has choked or Nadal has panicked. He never does that. And then the other aspect of mental strength is his emotions. So you never see Nadal, break a racket on the court or never shout on his camp or argue with the umpire. Of course, he has argued with the umpire, but then he has that mental ability to use that argument to his in his favor and use that energy in his favor. So whenever he has an argument, you might have noticed the next few points Nadal looks a lot more energetic, and he puts all that energy into his game rather than being frustrated. So I think all these aspects, you know, relate to the mental strength of Nadal, and that is one of the most important reasons. Now, the last reason, the reason number five, is his movement and slide. So we talked about his fitness, we talked about his forehand, we talked about his mental strength, we talked about the conditions, and the last thing that we want to talk about is his movement and slide. So we all know how good a mover Nadal is on all the court surfaces, but specifically on clay because he can slide so well and his shots also complement his slide. So he has the art, he knows the art how to move on clay quickly as well as hit shots from very difficult positions. So we have seen many top players struggle with the movement. Sometimes Federer struggles with the movement on clay. Djokovic, we saw even in the recent French Open, a lot of time he was complaining of the court being slippery. He has complained about that over the years, but we never see Nadal actually complain about all of this, and he moves very, very well on clay. The same way Djokovic moves on grass, and in the Australian Open, I think Nadal moves in the French Open. So it's really difficult for any other player to get anything past Nadal and hit a winner. And even if the other player is able to hit a winner, can he do it for 5 hours? That's the question. The answer is probably not, right? So eventually Nadal breaks down the other opponent's spirit as well as their game and is able to win the match. So I think these are the top five reasons which I think uh, play an important role in his dominance on the French Open specifically. And I think if any player in future has to beat Nadal, then the player has to play a perfect match as well as he has to match Nadal in all these factors. Otherwise, it's really difficult for anybody to beat Nadal on this surface. So that's my analysis, guys. Let me know in the comments what you feel. If there is any other factor that you feel also has played a role in his dominance, do let me know. So thanks for watching.